Okay, good afternoon, British Cattle Breeders Conference. I hope you're all enjoying your day so far. I'm Karen Wonnacott, current chair of the British Cattle Breeders Club, and we'd love to welcome you all to our fantastic ADF Q&A lunchtime session. Thanks very much for joining us. Huge thanks must go to ADF Milking for your very generous sponsorship. They are our principal sponsor this year. And as such, we would like to welcome James Duke, who is our director and founder of ADF Milking, the award-winning dipping and flushing system, here today to discuss the multiple benefits that regulating the vacuum in the hood of the liner brings. James has a very extensive background in agricultural engineering, particularly in the dairy industry, where he saw a need for a milking system that automatically dipped and flushed. Therefore, he founded ADF in 2004, and the rest, as they say, is history. Today, he's going to tell us more about InVent, a brand new product that continuously controls vacuum levels on each teat individually. I don't want to steal your thunder though, James, so I won't say too much. Which is doing wondrous things for milk yield, cow comfort and cow health. And then we'd like to mention, just to confuse everybody, another James, the lovely James Lywood from Battlehurst Farm in West Sussex. James milks in an 18-point herringbone parlour, milking about 200 cows twice a day. Battlehurst Farm is an Arla premium farm, already renowned for having a fantastic healthy herd with a consistently low cell count. James's goals have been to increase herd size while staying in the same parlour. And the best way to achieve this was to speed up the milking process if he possibly could, whilst retaining a consistently high standard. James is very kindly going to disclose to us how he achieved this, as well as how overall herd health has improved. So without further ado, welcome to the two Jameses. Many thanks. So if it's okay, we're going to get it from the farmer perspective first, James Duke, if that's all right. So I'm going to take liberties with my chairing session and go to James Lywood first. Thanks very much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time out of your very hectic schedule, so thanks for that. Could you give us a little bit of farm background, please, James, and also a bit of an insight as to why you chose to install ADF and then InVent, please?
Yes, no worries. Good afternoon, everyone. So I farm with my father in West Sussex. We farm on a 300-acre farm, and we also rent a further 100 acres off the farm, so currently farm around about 400 acres. Herd size currently is 200 cows, with the aim to be 230 cows by this summer, hopefully. Milk contract, so we're Arla co-op members on a Tesco contract. The milk cows are milked twice a day, all year round calving, an 1818 Dairy Master herringbone parlour. We installed ADF in August 2020, and then we added on the InVent in the November of that year. So herd performance wise, cows were averaging 11,200 litres at 4.6 fat, 3.5 protein. Cell counts running at 105, back to scan 7. We've had 5 cases of mastitis, 5 treated cases of mastitis in 12 months, running at a 7 cases per 100 in total. Pregnancy rates at 30%, lameness 6%, 93% cows just receiving just sealant at dry off, and our replacement rates currently at 23%. The reason why we installed ADF was to be able to milk an extra 40 cows twice a day without increasing milking times. We also wanted a more consistent, precise milking routine, or a bit of technology, extra technology in the parlour to increase the precision and consistency of the post-milking routine. Also, due to our milk contract, there's always pressure as such to reduce antibiotic usage and increase and improve your health of your herd. So ADF's a great product in order to reduce mastitis and reduce cell count, so that was another reason. Also to make the milking routine less labour intensive and easier for the guys milking. And also, it's always great to keep updating the milking parlour, installing up-to-date technology to ensure that we carry on with our high level of performance. Certainly, InVent has definitely ticked all the boxes for us and is doing a great job.
Brilliant, thanks very much. Did you expect that installing the system would save you as much time as it has done, considering that you are working towards increasing your herd size as well?
When we first put an ADF, it knocked off half an hour for milking, and then when we installed the InVent, it actually knocked off a further 10 minutes. When InVent was first installed, we did actually notice a slight increase in milk yield, along with better milking performance, and we certainly did experience better milking comfort, especially on the heifers. The cows love it, we love it, the guys do the milking love it. It's great. So
Brilliant.
I don't think I know I'm talking for some of the guys who milk on the farm as well. Coming from a parlour without ADF to then milking with a parlour with ADF, I don't think I'd ever want to go back.
Okay, right. Thank you ever so much, James Lywood. That was absolutely brilliant. Right, James, you're in the hot seat now. Please, can you tell us why dairy farmers and cows might choose to use InVent?
Well, InVent really builds on the success of our dipping and flushing product. And with the years of experience and the thousands of farms we got, every cow is different. So when we're sizing a liner, this is the same for all manufacturers, you have to take an average of that herd. James quite interestingly mentioned how much calmer he felt his heifers were. There's a very good reason for that. The liner has to milk the entire herd. The heifers have naturally got smaller teats. If you've got a smaller teat in a wider barrel liner, you get higher hood vacuum. Higher hood vacuum is really not what you want to give that fresh heifer. Her experience going through the parlour should be calm, relaxed and comfortable. And if you have high hood vacuum, you're going to cause edema on that teat, discomfort, the flow of adrenaline, blocking the flow of oxytocin, and generally less than comfortable milking experience. So
if the heifer is more comfortable, she's more likely to let her milk down sooner and in a more kind of uniform way, instead of it taking a long time for that milk to come through.
And I think it's all about stress. I mean, you know, that animal's experience has got to be as positive as it could be coming into that parlour for the first time. It's the future of the herd. And to milk those heifers out cleanly at the beginning of their lactation is going to mean they're going to flow through the parlour better, they're going to milk out fully, and they're going to become more profitable cows.
Perfect.
So
hopefully InVent is a better solution for your entire herd instead of focusing on misaverage.
Absolutely, because every teat is a different size. Even on a single cow, you'll have different sized teats. Across the herd, you'll have a significant variance in size and texture, but then during milking, the teat is changing in size and texture. So at the beginning of milking, it's a little bit smaller. When it's engorged with milk, it becomes plump and it will fill that liner. And then towards the end of milking, again, it will shrink down. Well, we can't change the size of the liner during an individual milking. But by controlling the vacuum in the head of the liner, we overcome the potential problem of high hood vacuum.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And one of my particularly favourite questions, how does InVent work? Why is InVent a breath of fresh air to us all? You know, the conference we're at, James, why is it a breath of fresh air?
Well, InVent is exactly that. It is a breath of fresh air. So if we imagine the liner on a teat and we've got high hood vacuum at the top, because we've already got our injector that sanitizes the teat after milking and then sanitizes the liner, during milking, we can use that sanitized tube to regulate the vacuum for every teat on every cow throughout every milking. So for example, typically, as soon as you apply a cluster, you'll have high hood vacuum. And let's say this cow has slightly smaller front teats that need a lot of venting. They will be vented individually from the back. When the cow's going to peak milk flow, generally there's less requirement on an ideal cow for venting, so that venting will slow down. And then towards the end of milking, typically when vacuum goes up and that cow starts to get restless and want to kick that unit off, then again it'll vent. So the net effect is much calmer cows. That's the instant thing you see. And on some farms, depending on routine, we get much faster milk letdown. On some farms, we've had more milk. And I'm really hoping we get more longevity from our cows, because we want to be milking cows. Cows are very efficient. They're good converters of energy into milk. It's milk we want to sell. And
it's a high quality, nutritious product that we all love. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Agreed. And please, could you elaborate on the feedback that you've already received from farmers currently using the new InVent system?
It's been wonderful. It's exceeded expectations. You know, this was really all about just adding a bit of comfort for the cows and overcoming, you know, those few instances where you just see a unit come off and you think, oh, I don't quite like that, and not physically being able to, you know, have a liner that fitted those cows that didn't fit the rest of the herd. Yeah. And it's just not something you like to see. So I must admit, I did think about this a long time ago. And it's just taken a bit of time to implement and get into a very simple form that we can milk individual teats separately with clean, fresh air. And you know, just as soon as you can see those cows just standing as calm in the parlour. And I think where we're getting the extra throughput, we're not probably milking every cow faster, but those slower cows we are definitely milking faster. So instead of having, you know, a slow cow holding up the whole side of a parlour, she's really benefiting because she was really suffering before. Boof, the side's through.
And that's a noticeable, tangible benefit to your farmer customers, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That whole flow of the parlour is so important.
And also, just, you almost hit the nail on the head. You know, a stressed cow leads to a stressed farmer. You know, if you've got a bitty milking with hanging around waiting for a slow cow or something, it's frustrating, isn't it? And then, you know, that can play out with the cows, really. If you're frustrated, the cow's going to pick it up.
Brilliant. Okay. And how easy is it to install InVent onto an existing customer's ADF system, please?
We can virtually do that on any parlour in between milking. So I say that rather glibly. If we've got a rotary milking 23 hours a day, we'll do it while it's milking on the hoof. But generally for farms in the UK where we've got a decent window between milkings, you know, we could do it between milkings, certainly with no disruption to milkings. Even if we didn't manage to do the whole thing between one milkings, we'd be able to finish it off with no disruption to the milking.
Brilliant, fantastic.
And it's a very straightforward, and the whole thing with this was to make it backwardly compatible so that, you know, all our loyal customers in the past haven't got to buy a new system. They can just have this added on.
Which is a real bonus. That is, yeah, hugely valuable. I can see how that would work. So yeah, thanks very much for that.
Thank you.
Welcome to the live component of our ADF lunchtime workshop. Many thanks to James Duke and James Lywood for joining us again. So we're going to crack right on with questions because we've got them coming in thick and fast. So if I could go to James Duke first, please. James, is this all purely anecdotal, or do you have any scientific data to back this up, please?
We're gathering quite a bit of scientific data. We're doing quite a bit of work with Ian Onsted in the UK and Dr. Hubel in Germany. Ian's done a lot of teat scoring and hopefully we'll eventually have a paper to demonstrate the effect on redness, ringing, edema, which is definitely there. We got some good results on that. And we're also at the moment carrying out a study, an off-on study, to try and, or to get data on speed of milking. So it is the intention as we gather this data, and we've got more and more farms, to present a scientific paper.
Brilliant, excellent. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to that coming, James.
Looking good.
So question up for James Lywood, if that's okay, James. It's very confusing having two Jameses here, boys, but James Lywood, what is your biggest top tip for the best milking routine, please?
So I'd say my two biggest tips for a milking routine is just to keep it uncomplicated and simple as possible. Create a protocol with your vets or consultant, create a protocol, and that'll bring consistency to your routine. Another tip would be to keep everything in yourself as clean as possible at all times. So keeping all the equipment clean, which is the ADF great for with the cluster flush, and also keeping your hands clean. Have a hand dip with some disinfectant in the parlour at all times while you're milking, keeping your hands clean, stopping the spread. So, for example, our milking routine at home is dead simple. So it's an iodine-free spray with a dry wipe. Then we pre-milk any high cell count cows and mastitis troublemaker cows. We then attach the clusters, and then the ADF does the rest. And before we let the cows up the row, we've got inline mastitis detectors, and we just check all them before we let the row out. And that's the routine, and we keep it dead simple, and everyone does the same thing to create that consistency, and that's the key.
I think we'd all agree simple is effective though, wouldn't we, James? That's just, and it's the best way you bring everybody along with you as well. You're all a team at the end of the day on these
Exactly,
farms.
yeah. Everyone, if you keep things simple and uncomplicated, you can't get it wrong, and people are more likely to follow that routine if it's simple and easy.
Brilliant, excellent. A question to you both, please. Do you think that InVent has had an impact on cow longevity? I know it's really early days, but just in your mind's eye, do you think that we've had a good impact on cow longevity and therefore giving you a better return on your investment?
Who do you want to speak
I'm going to answer that first.
Yeah, go for it. James Duke's there first. Sorry, James Lywood. Go for it, James Duke.
It's in fairness, it's early days, but it really should give longevity, because if we are giving those cows a comfortable milking, there's far more chance they're going to milk out fully, and the teats are going to be healthier because we're not going to be applying high vacuum to those teats with low milk flow. Really, the whole secret is getting those cows in, getting to let down quickly, peak flow, finish. We don't want these to promote these slow cows dribbling on and dribbling on and dribbling on, because that really is not good for the health of the teat. So all the indications are that this really should help cow longevity, but in fairness, it's a bit too early to answer that question, honestly.
Okay, well, thanks, James. That's great. And James Lywood, what do you think? Just initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just reiterating what James said, it is early days. I mean, we've only had it in for just over a year now. We're saying that, we're seeing lower cell counts, we're seeing less mastitis, and more that, our cows are milking more comfortably. So, it's looking good, it's looking promiseful. If we're improving on our milking performance, then hopefully that should lead to more longevity in the cows, fingers crossed. Yeah.
And just remind me, James, I know you said before you breed all your own replacements, don't you, at Battlehurst?
Yeah.
Breeding, so you'll have got some heifers. You'll have got some heifers that kind of calved onto the InVent system, if you like, and they're coming through now.
Yeah. So they're breeder patients, they're milking through. And that's one of the main benefits we've seen from installing InVent is the heifers are definitely more comfortable whilst milking, less kicking, less stumping around. It's just more comfortable for them, I feel. And it definitely seeing sort of a tad lower cell counts on our heifers, perhaps.
But it overall gives you that like positive first milking experience, which is what you're so desperate to create, isn't it?
Definitely calmer heifers coming through into the milking parlours, being we've definitely noticed that, yeah, for sure.
And that's just nicer for everyone, isn't it? The whole team. It makes life a lot easier.
No one wants a kicky heifer. No.
No one wants that. James Duke.
I'll just add, cow. I'm quite passionate about cow longevity, so I really think it helps farm profitability. You know, you rear that heifer, she's not overly profitable the first year. She's not really giving her full potential. She's still putting on body mass. To coin someone else's phrase, it's a bit like having a teenager in the house. They'll raid the fridge and give little back. But it's cows we want to be milking. You know, they know the ropes. They're very efficient at converting food to milk. And, you know, we want to keep those cows for as many lactations as possible.
And I think positively, Marco's message in the presentation that he just gave said, you know, we are 3 to 3.5 lactations in the UK herd, which is something we should all be very proud of. But like you say, if we can keep the cows in the herd longer, you know, improve our profitability, then that's got to be a good thing for all of us, hasn't it?
And I've got many customers who've had ADF, you know, for the life of their herds for, you know, in excess of 12, 14 years. And the number of cows, you know, 100-ton cows they've got is amazing. No, that's fantastic. Nothing.
That actually does bring us on quite nicely to our next question, James Duke. Can ADF and then InVent fit all parlour types, please?
Absolutely. Any manufacturer, any configuration of parlour. We've got a lot of requests at the moment to go on to robots. That's a little bit of a hot potato because the robot guys get a bit excited when we talk about that. But no, basically at the moment, any conventional parlour, rotary herringbone, rapid exit, not a problem at all. And all manufacturers, the only requirement is we need an ACR. We need an automatic cluster remover. As long as there's an automatic cluster remover on there, yes.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for clarifying that. And then also, how does the clean air actually enter the system? Because obviously we're talking about a breath of fresh air today, and this truly is a breath of fresh air, James, isn't it? If my understanding serves me correctly.
Perfect. Inside the hood of the liner, we already have an injector, and we use that injector. It has 2 nozzles on it. The first nozzle is pointing in a slightly uphill direction, and that delivers the teat dip onto the teat as the unit's removed. Once the unit's removed, the shells fall over, and the second nozzle provides water and compressed air to clean the liner. That nozzle has a tube that goes to our stool box, which is mounted up in the top of the parlour. And there we have a filtered source of air. So as and when an individual teat requires air, it comes down the sanitized tube that we last used to sanitize the liner, and will vent that individual teat, or if all 4 teats need a little bit, it'll just balance that hood vacuum. As soon as the hood vacuum in any teat goes above 10 kPa, it'll start to allow fresh air to enter that hood.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. James Lywood, I feel sorry for you because this is a bit of a tricky one coming your way now. Obviously, agriculture is faced with a great many challenges always. That's why we all do what we do, because we love the fact that every day is different. However, what do you see as the biggest challenges for you and your farm currently?
Tricky one. I think the 2 biggest challenges will be sort of all the environmental aspects coming into play. You know, we're in a pretty good place with our milk contracts and everything, and they expect us to do a lot of these things already. And I think the other big challenge, I think, will be labour. Finding people to milk cows well, I think, is a challenge. You know, and you know, that was maybe a big factor why we put in the ADF system, because it is labour saving. It makes it easier for the guys in the milking parlour. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, the environmental challenges ahead and labour, I would say, are the two biggest challenges I think our industry is going to face, for sure.
And they say with challenge brings opportunity, James. And I think, I don't want to quote specific numbers, but I think at the last count yesterday, we had 9 colleges and universities sign up to today's conference. So we have a captive audience of fantastic new potential milkers. And I would just urge all of those young people out there with a keen interest in agriculture to get in touch with us, because there are many farms looking for quality labour. So yes, it is a challenge to us, but it's also an opportunity to say, you know, agriculture is a fantastic place to work. You know, we've all got really lovely livelihoods here. So yeah, we'd urge people to give it serious consideration when they're thinking about their career choices. Do you agree, both Jameses?
I'd second that, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. Good stuff. Okay. James Lywood, what's your next big project or priority on your list?
So next sort of big project on the farm at the moment is currently sort of getting things going with this. We're currently in the process of putting up a new dry cow shed on the farm. In doing that, we'll be able to milk a further 30 cows, and also we'll have a brand new facility, and we'll be able to manage our dry cows better. So that's exciting. That's sort of our big project on the farm at the moment, which will be getting things going this spring, hopefully.
And may give you the potential to improve health and fertility and productivity.
Well, that's it, yeah. I always think if you get the dry cow period right, the rest should follow. And then sorry, what was the second part of the question again? Biggest
no, that's it. Big project or priority? Yeah, that's
it. Priorities. I mean, just really trying to push genetic gain on the farm at the moment. You know, genomic testing, trying to put the best bulls in the pot and serving the correct animals. Really trying to push on genetically on the farm at the moment, which is exciting as well. Yeah, those, I'd say them two.
Excellent. Thank you so much. James Duke, bit more of the nitty gritty. What is the maintenance like on the venting liners? Are there any issues with faults developing?
No different from a standard liner. It's not quite the same injector, but it's essentially the well-proven injector. It's got a very small change to it, but nothing that would affect its reliability. No, it's pretty. There's some filters that need changing. The air filters need changing once every 6 months. They're not expensive. No, the whole ethos of anything we do is to try and keep it as simple as possible. And generally, if it's simple, it works. It's not always that easy to make something simple. They start off very complex, and then we just engineer out and engineer out and engineer out until we've got the simplest form that we could possibly have. And with that comes reliability.
Brilliant.
So all the valves we use are the valves we use for everything else. We've done billions and billions of operations with them. No, it's pretty rock solid, and I think it will be
Brilliant.
for years to come. You know, we got.
Thank you very much.
With the valve we're using, I don't know how many billions of operations we've done. We've been using it for 14 years, so it's bomb-proof virtually.
And if it isn't broke, you don't try and fix it, do you,
If
James?
it does break, you know, we can't be perfect. If it does break, we will do our utmost to repair it. And most of our customers, we have on an agreement where, you know, we fix the costs and we'll warrant it for the life of the equipment, and certainly for at least 5 years.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so we're on to the final question now, gentlemen. James Duke, can you elaborate on increased cow throughput? Have customers with InVent seen a tangible improvement in, i.e. an increase in parlour efficiency?
Right. Every farm's different, but basically yes. And I think that really comes from, this is why we're really interested in gathering this data and doing a scientific study, but my gut feeling is that the biggest benefit is on the slightly slower milking cows. So if we've got a batch type parlour, we can't let that side of the parlour go until the last cow's finished milking. But my observation is those slower cows are a lot faster. And on the farms where we're saving a lot of time, and James, I think, is saving an extra 10 minutes on a very, very perfect routine. But the routine's not always perfect. And if the routine's not perfect, perhaps you might have a little bit of over milking at the beginning of milking, and you know the cows are not fully letting their milk go. The venting will help those cows. So I think where the main throughput is coming is from milking those slower cows a lot quicker. The cows that just chuck it out, we might be milking a bit quicker, and we might be milking them out a bit more fully. But I think the real speed is coming from those cows that milk at a less than average speed.
Perfect. Thank you ever so much. Well, what a lovely point to finish on. Many, many thanks to James Lywood for giving up your time to come and see us today. I know the cows will be desperate to see you again this afternoon, but hopefully you can just stay tuned in for this afternoon's sessions. Many, many thanks to James Duke and your wonderful team. Honestly, the ADF team are just fantastic, and we love working with you all. So thanks ever so much for your support for BCBC 22, A Breath of Fresh Air. ADF are our principal sponsors this year, so we're ever so grateful. And thank you all for making it such an absolute privilege to share this lunchtime session. We could happily while away the day just having a general chat about the challenges that our industry faces and the opportunities and solutions that perhaps we can find for those things. But we'll let you all grab a bite to eat before the session starts again. So thanks all ever so much to the delegates for joining us. Thanks to you all for your active participation, and we'll see you in a bit. Enjoy your lunch.
Lovely. And thank you, Karen, for hosting.
You're welcome, James. Thanks so much. Thank you.